Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. So good to see you, Dote, on this lovely day to be, like my Aunt Mamie used to always say, in the land of the living. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm happy to be alive.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's a plus. Trust me on that one. So welcome everybody. Our show is here today to provide you with information that help you create wealth and help you to deal and come up with some solutions for your personal money management. You know, we're not financial advisors, we're just financial educators. So we want to make sure you understand that we're not trying to sell any products or anything like that, or we're not even trying to sell information. We just want to provide our people with news that they can use. And that's one of our biggest goals, which we like to do. Little housekeeping things are we like for you to click on the like button as many times and heart because that helps gives us exposure to more people. That's how Facebook works. And on if you're on looking watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and share with other people and ask your friends, family, to also subscribe on YouTube to The FITT Show, FITT, capital letters, show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. So really appreciate you all joining us around the country and actually around the world. I want to say hello to all my peeps in the United Kingdom that be tuning in. Thank you so much for doing that. Though had I mean, what we always last week we talked about uh, financial planning pitfalls. There's a lot of information. We hope it was useful to everyone. But today we're going to talk about staying ahead of the game. And one of the ways to stay ahead of the games is to start with our top of the show topic, which everybody loves, is the stock market, though. Let's see what good news or bad news do you have for us? Because you've been giving us a little mixed the past few weeks.
No, it's good today. Everything is kind of rolling along. The Dow is up a couple of 100 points. NASDAQ has been really strong. S&P, which we do not have on this chart, but the S&P actually hit 5,000 for the first time ever, which is an historic number. It's never been that high. And the overall market is just going real well. I mean, had solid earnings. All the earnings that have been reported have been good. Inflation is easing. The economy is resilient. The market is going pretty strong right now. And so everything's positive. And some of the stocks I follow, Microsoft was up 10 points for the month. And the next three, Tesla, Apple, and Pfizer, are only up slightly. But my big dog, NVIDIA, is up a whopping 66 points in the past week. I mean, it has just absolutely gone crazy. I never imagined when I bought it at 170 that it was going to do this well. And it's facing challenges. I mean, they sell a lot of their stuff to China, and the U.S. is trying to keep the amount they sell to China limited because they don't want China to end up using it against us, obviously. So they had to have developed an alternative chip to use in China that would satisfy our government that we aren't giving them much information. And it looks like they've been able to do that. That's always a challenge for them. And the other challenge is a competitor. I think it's ADM is their big competitor, and they have a competitive chip. But right now, everything is going like gangbusters at NVIDIA. And when you look at it, it's just been crazy. I mean, for the last year, if you just look at the past year and say, well, what's it done in the last year? It's up. I mean, it's up like crazy, and just a good buy. It's been up over 700. I've seen targets being raised to around 750, but who knows if it's going to get to that. And so that's one that has just done well. I'm real happy with it, and I've done okay on that one. But overall, market's moving strong, and everything's looking good right now. But as we all know, that can change on a dime. So just have to be confident that the market's going to, over the long haul, do well. And that's where we are.
Well, that's good news. That's actually it's great news, man. Where we are, and my semiconductor company like Nvidia, they're up for gangbangers too. That's been my stalwart, and it's up about 200%. So I'm looking pretty good with that. And the commodities is up. Gold is still over $2,000. Silver is up. So it seems like investments are doing pretty well these days, though. But let's see quickly.
And Bob, but one more thing I want to say about that. And again, I'm not trying to convince anybody to be in the stock market, but I just think with the rules and the tax laws, it's such an advantage. For example, Nvidia, I'm up 400%. So I put about 17 grand in. It's worth about 70,000 bucks now. And so if I was to sell that stock today, I pay a capital gains tax, which is maxed out at 20%. But the one of the benefits of owning stock is that you can offset losses with gains. And so that says to me, I can go out and buy something extremely risky, knowing that if I lose, I'll be doing is offsetting the loss on Nvidia. Now, I'm not going to go out and buy anything stupid, but we always tell you no risk it, no biscuit. The higher risk you take, the higher your reward. So I can look for something now that's extremely risky. And if it hits, as we always talk about, nothing wrong with paying taxes. That means you made a lot of money. But if for some reason it doesn't and it loses, I have a gain to offset, but I can only take that chance because I'm sitting on this huge gain. And so when we talk about the rules of this, capitalistic country and how you should have invested in the stock market, because they make it beneficial for you to be invested in the stock market. So again, I can go out and look for something risky. I try to hit a home run on a stock that I might not want to take that risk in normal times, but when I'm sitting on a gain, I have more leeway to want to do that. And again, that's just another advantage of being in the stock market.
Yeah, that's another good one. Another good story about it. And like we say, got to take some risks, because with risk, the greater the risk, the greater reward. And with the way inflation and taxes take you out, to stay ahead of the pace, you got to be, making more than what taxes and inflation is, at least at a minimum. So let's get to the other investments out there, which is cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency has been doing very, very well. It's up to 1.8 trillion in the market cap, up 82 billion, about 5%. And as you can see, it's all the way across all the different cryptocurrencies. Now, we only report on, we do the top 11 right now. And Bitcoin is still the number one cryptocurrency. And last week it was up $3,000. This week is up $2,200 at $45,369 a Bitcoin. That's up 5%. So if you've been into Bitcoin the last couple of months, you have been making out, believe it or not. And then the Ethereum, which is the smart contract, and that is up $118. So that's pretty interesting. That's up 5%. It's taking the move. Tether, what they call stablecoin, which is pegged to the dollar. So they say it's either dollar or other assets, because remember, other cryptocurrencies are not backed by anything. There's no collateral behind them. But Tether that's how they sort of why you see it stay at $1, but it's volume on how you make money on that particular cryptocurrency. We've been following Solana. Solana is the number 5, and it's up $5. And Dogecoin is still a dog coin. It's been staying around 7%, around about 7.79%, rounding up at 8%. And that is not good at all. But all in all, though, if you're in Bitcoins, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm up about 3 times what I put in it on my Bitcoin, so I'm doing okay in that too.
Yeah, I'm just I'm breaking even because I
Yeah, I didn't
got
put a
in.
lot of money. Don't get me right. I didn't put a whole lot of money in it, but just to say I
Me
was
either. But
invest.
I think I got in. Where did I get in though? I think I got in. I can't remember. I got it maybe 2019 before it dropped. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
just
I
before the
can't
pandemic.
remember. That's one of the disadvantages of being old. I can't remember. I just know it's in the long-term category. So if I do sell it, I don't have to pay at my ordinary rate. I'll have to pay at the capital gains rate. So that's a
Right.
good thing.
No, that's a that's a daggone good thing. So dope. Let's talk about our topic today, which is staying ahead of the game.
Yeah, we talk about spending money and that's always near and dear to everybody. And we just give you some things to think about before you go out and spend your cash, because some people put a lot of thought in it. You got people like me who look at every penny I spend and every penny I save kind of to the nth degree, because I'm a nerd. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy. But some people make impulse purchases and they just go buy things because it looks good, or it's the technology, or to try and impress somebody, or for whatever reason. But for your financial health and for the strength of your financial health, you need to really think through these purchases and make sure those things aren't damaging your future, or damaging where you are trying to get to. And if you're not sticking to your plan, or you go out and make these instant purchases, that puts you in a place that you don't want to be. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
So staying ahead of the game. What does that really mean? Now, it shouldn't surprise you that accumulating wealth can be looked at as a game if you want to play, you must understand and follow the rules. But the catch there is there's only one player, and it's you. Now, wealth is not how much money one has, simply put. But one definition could be you are wealthy when you have more than you need. So how do you reach this level of personal financial freedom, right? Whether you're a school or college student just starting out, a career professional struggling with debt, or entrepreneur making things happen. Today, we're going to discuss some wealth management concepts that will help you stay ahead of the financial game so that you can turn your attention to the game that matters most, and that is living your life. So let's take this off. You set us off. You start us off.
Well, the first thing you got to do is there's so many free financial tools, and we've talked about this before, how you need to put in work to stay on top of your financial situation. And I think I mentioned last week that I kind of feel I've underestimated it. I know I have for myself, but I can't emphasize enough the amount of time you need to put into managing your money and making sure you stay on top of it. The more money you get, the more complicated it becomes. You're looking at planning for the future. You have things like inflation. You have to shop interest rates. You have to make sure you're paying as little as you can on a lot of different things, and that you're not paying too much on some of the things. So it does take some work to do that. But there are a lot of free financial tools that can help you manage your money and take care of your money. And it makes some things easier. It allows you to calculate things. It allows you to figure out where you're going, whether it's budgeting, whether it's planning, and a lot of things out there that you need to take advantage of. And we're going to talk about three in particular, and hopefully you'll take advantage of some of these things, and they can help you lessen the time you spend and enhance your knowledge and enhance your financial well-being.
So, okay, Dope talked about the first one, retirement planner.
Okay, retirement planning. There are a lot of tools out there where you can put in how much money you expect to have at retirement. You can make sure you're on the right track. You can say, okay, I've got X amount to start with. I'm going to save X amount for X number of years. I plan to retire at this point in time. You can put all these different scenarios of how much money you expect to have, how much money you need to live on. You can create a spending plan. You can look at all your sources of income. You can go out and estimate how much Social Security you would get. Now, that's up for debate if they go out of business. So I'm not going to touch that one. But you can actually go to SSA.gov if you're not retired, and you can get an actual number of if things stay the way they are, how much money you have in retirement. If you have a pension plan, you can go look at your pension plan and see how much money you'll have when you retire. And you can actually input all this information into a program. It'll tell you this is how much you'll have, this is what your spending will be. It'll take into account inflation. It can give you some idea of whether you need to up the amount of money you're saving, or maybe hopefully you're saving too much and you can reduce the amount of money you save. It can put you on track for you figuring out how much you'll need at retirement to live the kind of life that you want to live. And there are plenty of these retirement planners out there that you can take a look at.
And though I don't think we take enough advantage of these tools, because we're talking about free tools that are out there. And
Exactly.
all you got to do is Google, retirement planners, and these next ones we're going to talk about. All you have to do is Google them, and there's so many of them out there. And there's some for cost, but there are a lot for free. And one of the things especially with modern technologies that are out there, these are such great tools to help you stay on top. Because like Doe said, the more money you make, the more you're going to have to be diligent. So the next financial tool I want to talk about is called Investment Checkup. Now this tool lets you assess your portfolio risks, and it analyzes your past investment performances, and it can model individualized asset allocations. It can, show you where your asset allocation could be overweighted or underweighted, and it'll give you some of these will give you a suggested asset allocation, and the tool can identify if you're ahead or behind in any one sector, and you can see how well you're diversified. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's investment. And this is something that you can stay on top of your investments, because most people always talk about that talk to me about that are in the government saving plan or 403B. These kind of things can help you with that and understanding, because most people don't understand investment mix or their allocation or their, if they're weighted correctly. So, check it out, Investment Check.
And the next one is a budget plan. And this is one we kind of stay on you guys about budgeting. And I know a lot of people, and I'm so old that I used to do this on a spreadsheet, sit down and write off, do it with hand with a pencil and paper and an eraser if I needed one, and write out my budget by month and figure out what I might need down the road or in future months. But I did it all by hand, and spreadsheets came along and you could do it on a spreadsheet. And for a guy like me, I still enjoyed that because I like messing around with numbers and anticipating. But it's one of the things that it's really crucial to setting up your plan or setting up your financial health and figuring out where you want to be, and to make sure you're not spending any money. And to that end, we're going to talk about some things you need, some reasons people choose not to do a budget. I strongly encourage everyone to use some type of budget. And we hear all kinds of excuses of why people don't want a budget, and none of them make sense to me. None of the reasons people give. But we're going to go through some of the 12 major reasons that people don't use a budget or have trouble figuring out how to budget. And the first one is you don't have a budget and you don't know what you're spending, and you just live pretty much check to check. You don't worry about going to next month. Don't worry about what you're going to need next year, and you just kind of live your life. And that's a recipe for disaster if you don't have a budget, because you have no idea where you're going. You have no idea if what you're doing makes sense, or if what you're doing, if you're overspending in certain categories, you're not looking for ways to cut your costs. You're just pretty much living the day. So not having a budget, not a good way to prepare for the future.
And I know y'all have heard us talk about the budget a million times, and we'll talk about it a million more times because it's so important, y'all, because people be trying to hold this in their head, right? And we know, especially as you get older, holding things in your head, that's not a good check system, especially if you guesstimating your expenses and your income. Now, estimated budget is better than none at all, but not using accurate numbers means your budget can't do its job. It's just plain and simple, you all, because a lot of times you've got to be honest with your numbers, not with what you want to be, right? So you got to also make sure that you're not inflating, your income, because then what happens, you end up underestimating, then you end up underestimating your spending. So guesstimating your expenses and income is a big one. It's important to create a long-term budget too, not just one for the week or for the month. The longer you could go out and the better you create that long-term budget habit that you can stick with, that then you can improve over time.
Yeah, and people use the wrong budget for them. You use generic numbers. You have to use real numbers that fit what you're trying to do. So come up with a budget that works for not somebody else's.
Yeah, that is so true. Though, now, this may sound like people heard this before, but not leaving any wiggle room. What does that mean? Not leaving any wiggle room. If your budget planning is too restrictive, you probably won't stick to it. And before you know it, you might be whipping out a credit card and going into debt. So, a lot of people get burnt out because they just, like I say, they don't give themselves any room, and they don't be honest with their budgets. It's so restrictive that they can't stick to it. And what most people I know do, they say they start off with a budget, they stop it. They quit the budget because they make it so restrictive, it stresses them out and they experience burnout. So then they just end up, overspending, and then they'll pull out that credit card to fill the gap. So that is another budget item that you need to really think about, and that's leaving yourself some wiggle room.
Yeah, and Bob, as a result of that, people end up giving up too soon. When you don't leave wiggle room and you say, "Oh, this thing isn't working, so I'm not going to do it," and that happens all the time, also.
Oh yeah, and this one. How about this one though? Forgetting irregular expenses. Okay, and why you might not forget your mortgage payment. You might not. You won't forget to include your car, payment, but you might forget the registration fee, annual cost, or your holiday spending. Like, let me give you some categories. Like there's a lot of categories of variable expenses that are easy to overlook: insurance, quarterly taxes, membership fees, retirement contributions, holiday, birthday gifts and spending. How about this? Vet expenses. And these are all types of irregular expenses, which are variable expenses that pop up on us and really blow your budget out. So make sure you consider those.
Yeah, and to that end, you have to be able to revise your budget. Could be for good reasons or bad reasons. It could be because an expense element goes up, or it could be because your income goes up. And if your budget income goes up, and you get to the end, and you look at your income coming in, expenses going out, and what you have left to invest, you may be able to invest money that you're investing. So you have to be able to revise, especially during these inflationary times when things are going up. You got to be able to adjust.
And though this one, once again, I know y'all heard we sound like a parrot repeating this, but have an emergency fund, medical expenses, car repairs, home maintenance, large unplanned expenses happen, right? And if you don't prepare these things, they can crush your budget. So that's why it's so important to have emergency fund. Now, some people say, and this is just benchmark. Some people say 3 to 6 months. Some people say 6 months to 12. Some people say 12 to 18 months. It's upon you to determine what best for you. But remember, having an emergency fund is so important for those unplanned, especially large purchases happen.
Yeah, and this whole thing is about all the free things out there to help you budget. But when you sit down to budget, you got to have clear financial goals. That kind of overrides everything. You have to have a clear picture of what you're trying to accomplish, where you expect to be 1 year from now, where you expect to be 5 years from now, when you expect to retire. So you got to have clear financial goals that lay out how you expect to live. What that's your blueprint for how you're going to spend your money, is having clear financial goals.
So the next one is not finding ways to reduce your fixed expenses. Now that's a common error to assume that monthly fixed costs, like your cell phone service, or even your internet service, is set in stone. They are definitely negotiable. And when you stay with expensive providers or plans, you could be missing out on savings or reduction of being able to reduce your budget. So think about that. Reduce fixed expenses. Trying to reduce the actual cost of regular services can save you a lot of money. And perhaps you can negotiate a rent increase if you're renting, or refinancing your mortgage. So digging into these options can really, really have you reduce some monthly expenses. So consider that. Finding ways to reduce fixed expenses.
And again, you have to be diligent when it comes to this, and you have to have realistic goals. You can't leave spending out. For example, if you think you aren't going to spend any money at any extra money in a holiday, it's probably not realistic. Or if you think when certain birthdays come up, or certain holidays, or vacation time, and you create this budget that leaves certain things out that you're going to spend, then the budget becomes worthless. So you have to be realistic and make sure you encompass all the things you plan on spending money on.
Hey, Doe, how about this one? Not reviewing your credit card and bank statements. As simple as that sounds, a lot of people don't do it on a regular basis. You gotta regular review of your bank account and credit card statements. It's crucial to avoid having money out of your budget and out of your financial accounts. Because now there's not reason why. Because in this case scenario, you could be a victim of identity theft and not know until significant damage is done. Now, a lot of financial advisors, they actually suggest you view your statements, credit card, and bank statements at least monthly. I myself, though, believe you should at least review it at least weekly, because there's so much identity theft out there these days. And that's the only way that you can stand on top of it. Most of the time you can't stop it, but you can prevent it. And this is one of the ways to do it, man. You must review credit card and bank statements.
And Bob, I got to be honest, and I don't, I never review my credit card statement or my bank statement. The reason is because I look at it every day. I look at it online every day. I see every charge that hits my credit card, and I get a notice when it hits my credit card, and I get a notice when it posts to my account. So I always know how much I owe on my credit card. And as far as my bank statement, again, I look at it every day. I glance and I know how much I have and I know what's come out of it. And I get a notice when something comes out of my bank account. And so, yeah, that's a lot of emails I get. And again, I don't mind doing that, but it helps me keep on top of things. And so to that end, you can go out and find these things to do budget and all the reasons why people don't budget and why you should budget. This is all to get us to talk about how you should spend money more wisely. And that's, trying to get you to take a step back and just ask yourself certain questions before you spend money. That's how you're going to get ahead. I saw something on Facebook kind of struck me. And the guy's name, Umar Bob, what's his name? Dr. Umar.
Yeah,
anyway,
Umar Johnson. Yeah, Umar Johnson.
Yeah, what he was talking about is if you're behind, and he was using an example of a race. If you're behind in a race, if you want to get even with that person, you got to catch up. And so if you're behind in your spending, or your saving, then you have to catch up. And to do those things, you got to spend less money and spend your money wisely to make sure you are getting to where you want to be. So we're going to talk about how you can change those behaviors if you're shopping and to look for ways to try to save more money and try to get yourself ahead of the financial game.
So, dope. Let's start by asking. You need to start to ask yourself the following 6 questions, and these are important, you all. And they may sound, elementary, or you thought about it before, but really consider this. You need to ask yourself, at what cost? At what cost is a question that cuts through the noise and gets to the heart of the matter. Your decision to buy something pricey is not just about the money, it's about everything else. What are you giving up? What are you getting? What are you risking? How are you feeling? And who you are. Asking yourself at what cost reveals the true nature of your decision and the trade-offs that it leads to. Because if you make one decision, it could be a trade-off. You be counting out another one that you could have made. So at what cost? It is a way to be honest and accountable to yourself and your values by resisting, check this out, the seductive nature of the consumer culture, because they try to get that dollar out your pocket.
Yeah, and another fundamental question is it a need or a want? And that's, you got to consider that. And that's going to, and you look at it in the context of what is this going to do on my overall financial goals? What is it going to do to my budget? What is it going to do to what I want to accomplish down the road? And then you ask yourself, the need or want, does this align with my priorities and my passions? Is this something I really want, or is this going to hurt me down the road or hurt what I said I want to accomplish?
I just want to remind our viewers that if you have a comment, a question, or an opinion on anything we're talking about, put it in the comment, and that's our way that we can interact with you. So please don't hesitate to put any questions or comments in the comment box. And by the way, the more comments you put in there, that actually is exponential access to more people. So we like when you put comments or opinions in there, and any questions that you may have. That's what is pertaining to what we're talking about. Or if it may be a little off, we'll address it if we can, or we'll table it. But please use that comment box. Dope. Another question we need to ask ourselves: does this align with my plan? Now, it's essential to permit yourself to make a major financial purchase. But ask yourself, does this purchase align with my life and with my financial plan? If you adhere to your financial plan, and the purchases increases your well-being. You invest in your current and future self. Your alignment question helps you to audit your purchase, align with your plan.
Okay, next question. Can my money be used better someplace else? You ask yourself, do I really need this thing I want to buy? Or is there something else I can use this money that's going to make me happier? And you got to ask yourself that, because you step back and that'll make you look at the big picture of what your goals are, what you really, where you want to be at some point in time, and that'll get you away from making an impulse buy that's going to may satisfy you in the short term, but it doesn't fit in with what you're really trying to do. And if you don't spend that, that money can have a bigger effect or be used better someplace else.
One question to ask yourself before making a major financial purchase or spending or a decision or any decision is, why is this important to me? Honestly, asking this question will help you think beyond social norms, other opinions, and instant gratification to better understand the true value of the purchase or any financial decision that you are, personally making. Now, taking time to peel back the layers of what you are hoping to gain provides a perspective about whether it's worth it to you, and is it really something, like you said before, Dope, that you want? Is it just a want or a need? So, important question to ask yourself.
And finally, and this one kind of to me the hardest, is what value am I getting from this purchase? And you talked about whether it's aligned, whether it's going to help you achieve your goals and all that stuff. But it gets to a deeper level when you say, how is this purchase going to make me feel? And what return on investment is this purchase bringing to me or adding to my life? If it's just something to impress other people, if it's just something that's going to make me feel good for a short period of time, it may make you say, no, I don't need that, because down the road, it's not really an investment. It's just a thing I'm buying. It's not helping me accomplish my goal. This isn't really doing what I needed to do for me and my family. So it's a fundamental question to ask yourself, what value am I getting from this? Is it just making me feel good? Or is it just make me look good in front of other people? And that may make you take a step back and decide you don't really need that item.
Hey, Dope, how about this question? Using debt to your advantage. Okay, debt comes in two forms, right? Bad and good. Bad debt includes credit cards and personal loans with high interest rates. High interest can make it especially hard to get out of debt and ultimately delays the process of building wealth. Now, speaking about bad debt, another common mistake is carrying credit card balance from one saving cycle to the next, and or only paying the minimum payment every month. Now, this is a bad habit that perpetuates and even increases the interest you pay. Whenever possible, pay off the time balance each month to avoid interest charges. But there is a such thing as good debt. And this is the thing, am I using my, my particular debt? Am I leveraging my opportunities with some of the tools, the financial tools I have out there? Good debt is using debt to acquire, like, appreciating assets, like buying a home, or leveraging a low interest debt to earn higher rates on other investments. So think about that. Good debt, bad debt. Are you, taking advantage of that?
Yeah, and the things we've talked about so far have all been based on spending and making decisions when you spend. But purchasing or purchases of investments, you still got to ask yourself those same questions. And one of the things that happens oftentimes when it comes to spending is, you decide to pull back from something maybe you should do. For example, you may panic when the market goes down, which is something a lot of people do. We've talked about this before. And that's something you have to keep yourself from doing. Right now, it's easy to be in the stock market. You look every day, the market's going up, your investment, your net worth is going up, and you see your 401ks and your investment account all increasing. But as soon as things start going a little bad, a lot of people panic and they jump out of the market. And first, they see something going wrong, and I got to get out. This is too risky. And that's really the opposite of what you should do. And we, for us, I think what's made us successful is that we've continually invested in the market that does several things for you. When if you look at it as simple as buying one stock every month, no matter what the value is. And when the value is high, you buy less shares if you put the same amount of money in. When the value is low, you buy more shares. So over time, you have what's called dollar cost averaging. Your average cost is going to be pretty low compared to if you just go in and take a flyer on when to buy. And another way to look at it, and that's one of the things I told you before, that was one of the things that what's the Berkshire Hathaway guy? I can't remember his name, Bob. What's his name?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. He always talks about he buys stock when everybody is selling, and he sells stock when everybody else is buying. And that's the opposite of what inexperienced people do, and it's the opposite of what people who aren't committed to the stock market do. And another way to look at it is when the market is slumping, is use that as an opportunity to buy more stocks at a discount. And if nothing else, you tell yourself historically, the stock market has always rebounded from even the worst downturns. When we were talking about recessions and whether this was a bear market, this was back in 2023, we always showed you how the market responds after these downfalls. And forget about trying to time the market, because it's useless. Even experts have trouble doing that. We're just trying to get you to put some time into the market, and you will not be able to put enough time to become an expert at timing. So we strongly recommend you invest over time, you invest consistently, you invest constantly. And on the long term, the market has always gone up, especially when times are bad. It always rebounds strongly after a downturn. And so try not to panic. Consider that like you would any other expense, and don't make a rash decision. Think about your goals, think about your long-term plan, think about what you're trying to accomplish, and stick to what you feel you're comfortable with as far as investing.
Now, okay, we must take this environment into account. When we talk about environment, I'm talking about the economy and the economics of this environment. So yes, we know always pro stock market because it's not with so many ways that we can get ahead that it's at our that we have access to, which we don't have to, be doing the Monte Carlo gambling or something, right? But I do want to submit this to you for you all who may be risk adverse and still don't want to venture into the stock market. There's no excuse now, you all, if you have money in a savings account and you're getting less than 1% right now, but that same bank that you have that savings account in, now you have an account, a savings account that's paying like 4 or 5%, the same bank you're in, or it might be another bank. And so many people get wedded to traditionally the bank that they were in, but it's all about getting the most out of your money. And if there's another bank which is insured by the FDIC, why leave? So think about it. If you have 2,000, go ahead, Doug.
No, I was just going to say we got to be careful because most brick and mortar banks, when it comes to their savings account, you have to pretty much jump through some hoops to get a decent interest rate. where you're going to find the over 5% money markets right now is going to be in a brokerage money market firm or an internet bank, an online bank, or something like an American Express savings account or Robinhood or something of that sort, as opposed to going to the PNCs and Chase and First National Bank. Their savings accounts are typically going to be minimal. And so you got to do some searching. You can just go to bankrate.com and they'll tell you where to find the higher interest rates. Now, you may be able to get decent CDs at those banks. And even then, they tend to be a little less competitive than the brokerage houses or the internet banks. So again, you got to do some research. And 1% on $1,000 isn't a whole lot of money. Excuse me, but when you start looking at it over your lifetime, or you say, as Bob said, you're getting 1% when you could be getting 5%. That's $40, and we just talked about $1,000. If you got 10,000, it's $400. If you got 20,000, it's $800. You do that every year over your lifetime, it's a lot of money. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. Again, you go to bankrate.com, you find out who's paying the interest rates, you make sure you're getting the highest interest rate. I mean, it's that simple. You just want to maximize where your money is. But you might have trouble doing that at a typical brick and mortar bank. So I just wanted to.
Very good point you make, though. But I just want to, and you definitely probably have more easier time to find it on online, the internet bank. But there are banks, and it's normally not the too big to fail banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, True West. It's a lot of credit unions now are giving that. And the reason why credit unions are different than banks, because credit unions are not for profit. Not non-profit, they're not for profit. Remember, they're membership banks. So that's why they can give you better rates. And they're smaller. They're not like the big to fail banks, and you can find it. But though it's correct, you probably more likely to find it online. And those online banks, when you go to them, always make sure that they are insured by the FDIC, and that way you know your money's safe. But just want to throw that out for you people who risk adverse. I mean, though, like you said, so think about you getting 5%. Like you said, on 10,000, right? Right? What's that? 500, right? And then you get 5%. Say you had $100,000, because I know some of my friends have that. That's some big money, and it's compounding once you leave it there. So anyway, I just didn't want to rule that out for some of you all who still a little bit antsy about the stock market. But I'm telling you, this information we gave you today. If you have any questions, y'all, please feel free to please put any comments that you have in the box. And if you have some questions, please do that too. Maddie Ford said the budget is an awesome move for 365 days of the year. You're right about that, Maddie. It's not just about quarterly or monthly.
Yeah, and we didn't give you any names of any of these budget tools because, again, we don't recommend. Or you Google budget tools, a lot of free budget tools will pop up, and any of them are good if you just take the time and put the effort in and figure out where your money's coming in and where your money's going out. It's that basic. That's the first step in figuring out where you're going, and then you set up your goals and you go from there.
So let me tell you a little secret about putting your budget down on paper. Even if you just put it on the back of a napkin, it's better than trying to hold it in your head. Because it's something about when you write it down, it crystallizes it. It gets it out of your head and you can see. I mean, I'm dead serious. Just writing it on the back of a napkin is better than doing nothing. So, but these budget accounts, yeah.
But again, that's true what you're saying. But if you want to build wealth, Doing it on the back of a napkin ain't gonna get it done. I can tell you that. It ain't.
I said if you're not doing nothing else.
But take the time, put the effort in, and plan on building wealth. And it takes time and effort. And I think we may have downplayed the effort it takes, but building wealth takes work. But trust me, it's worth it.
And for some of you people who are just coming on for the first time seeing our show, and people are looking for concrete like products and things like that, I hope you understand today's show. If you really listen to what we said today, managing your money and building wealth is really a mindset. It's not about how much money you make. Man, it's mindset. These things we talked about and I know some people say, oh man, I already thought about those things. Yeah, you say that once we say it, but we trying to get you in the mindset because it's your mindset and your beliefs about money what determines your thoughts, then affects your emotions, and then it turns into your actions. So it starts off with your values. That's what your belief system is all about. It's your value. What is more important to you? What is more work? What is more important to your kids' education? You paying off your house. You need to think about these things. It starts with that. And it's not about the how much is in your pocket or how much you make a year. It's not about income. It's about building a net worth. So we hope this has been helpful to you all. Maddie say, put your mind into it. That's it. That's what it is about, Maddie Ford. Put your mind to it. So with that,
that's how you get. Yeah, you. It's a mindset, but then you create a process that works towards accomplishing your goals. And if you set a goal out to be wealthy or to save a amount of dollars, and you put things in place, you'll get there. If you don't set a goal, short of hitting the lottery, you probably won't get there. Okay? If you don't set a goal to do it, you probably won't accomplish it. And I won't say it's easy to do, but if you have a process, that makes that road easier to getting there.
There's no doubt about it, though, that it takes effort, and it could seem, simple, but it's not easy. But the more you put your time in it, the easier it becomes. So let's go to the summary and takeaways, because we talked about a lot of things today. Let's get to it, and I guess I'll start it off. We just talked about this. Use free resources, okay? Please use the resource. They're out there. Google it. So many out there that you can use. Just put in budget. Just put in investment checklist. Put in retirement planner. Those things, mortgage calculator. Those things are there. So use them.
Yeah, and you got to know where you are. And that's so many of the brokerage houses and stock people who are fiduciary and are qualified to make recommendations. Most of them will give you a free, let's call it a financial checklist or a checkup, just to understand where you are and help you figure out just where you are, what's coming in, where you stand at that particular point.
Know where you are going. This is where your investments come in place. This is where your the decisions to diversify, your decision to have asset allocation, to have the right balance, so that you know where you're going. This is where all your investments and things come into play. So really, really, really know where you're going. That's why you need to make sure you have time horizons. You need to understand risk tolerance. And then go for it. Plan your goals.
And finally, think before you spend. Take the time to have a budget. Does this thing that you're thinking about buying, is it part of your budget? Is it going to make you feel good? Is it going to help you reach the goals that you want to accomplish? Every decision you make financially make sure it meets your goals, make sure it's what you want, and make sure it's going to help you end up where you want to be.
So the name of the game is staying ahead of the game. Now, most games have an end, right? Which is sometimes a win. But this game is about you staying in and playing it. That's the name of the game, playing it all the way to the end and using these strategies and methods we talked about. We hope they were useful for you. Want to give our shout out to all our viewers, as we always do. My sister, like Clark, Linda's been here since the beginning, though. I think Linda's seen 136 shows. So thank you, Linda. Now, what's up now? Nisi Doty, thank you. As always, Garnett, another stalwart. I think Garnett's been here too, though, since the beginning. And my man Carl Chapman, my little brother. Rodney Madison Sr., the noteexperience.com. Go out there, check them out on the internet. Another alternative investment, holding mortgage notes. It's a great way to invest, another vehicle to do that. Rodney's funny, right? When you're talking about NVIDIA, Rodney said, "Don't stop bragging about NVIDIA." He said,
I can't help it. I can't help it.
He said, but it was a good move. Tracy, I hope you're still with us. Tracy, what's up? Tracy Denise Jackson. Oh, man, Tracy, it's so great that you stand with us. And thank you so much. James Alexander. Hey, James, keep sending me those stuff on Messenger. I love those videos, information that you keep sending me, man. James is funny, though. So it's great information as always. If there is life after death, after a lot of different decisions you got to make. That's a very good one. Maddie Ford, what's up, Maddie? So glad that you're with us. Oh, Tracy, thank you for hanging there with us. Appreciate you, Tracy. And look, we're here every week on Thursday. Next Thursday will be the 15th. Same channel, same bad place. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And remember, share this on Facebook Live. Also, have your friends to subscribe on YouTube so that we can expand our audience. We thank you. We appreciate you.
Bob,
yes.
Let's close with that note I saw on Facebook. Rich people stay rich by living like they poor, and poor people stay poor by living like they rich.
Wait a minute. Let me say that again. I think you said it too fast. Rich people
stay rich by living like they're poor.
Yes.
And poor people stay poor by living like they're rich.
It's not a dichotomy. Take that and put it in your pipe and smoke it. Hey, Jackson Nicole. What's up, Jackson Nicole? Is this your first time, Jackson Nicole? You know who that is, though?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. What's up, Jackson Nicole? We thank you for tuning in. We hope you some information you can use and be here. We're here every week. This is our 136th show. Next week, 137. So stay tuned for more information. The FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. See you next week, folks. Oh, Jackson Nicole is Tracy's daughter. Oh, Tracy, way to go. Oh, Dad, what's up?
Nigel Nicole.
No, Jackson Nicole is
I know my niece's name. Her name is Nigel.
No. This is Tracy Jackson's daughter.
No, Tracy is my niece. Nigel is her daughter.
No. Tracy is my coworker.
What do you mean, no?
No, Tracy is my coworker.
Huh?
Tracy is my coworker from FDIC.
Oh, I have a niece that's Tracy who has a daughter named Nigel. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, this is my coach. She just put it in the comment box. This is Tracy Jackson, and that's her daughter.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks for tuning in. And man, this is all about legacy, you all. Mother and daughter, let's keep it rolling. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Y'all take good care. Dope. We sound like two old men. I ain't lying.
We are.
Good point. Later, you all.